My name is Ava Thompson, and for years, I trained myself to take up as little space as possible around the family table. It wasn't because I had nothing to say or lacked confidence. In our home, staying quiet was simply the smartest way to survive. My parents, David and Laura, dreamed of the picture-perfect family in Brookfield, Connecticut, the kind that looked flawless on greeting cards. My younger sister, Chloe, slipped into that role without effort. She was their star, the one they paraded in photos and boasted about to anyone who would listen. I was the overlooked daughter, the reserved one, the reliable one, the one they often forgot to mention unless someone specifically asked. From early on, I knew exactly where I fit in their world. When I was 9, I hauled my science fair robot across the gym floor alone because Dad was busy driving Chloe to her dance recital. At 13, I caught a late-night bus to a summer STEM camp while my parents escorted Chloe to a modeling workshop in the city. And at 15, after earning a major state scholarship, I scanned the crowded hall for their support and spotted only my grandfather standing quietly in the shadows, just as he always did. Grandpa Thompson was the one person who truly noticed me. He got how my mind worked, how I could command a room without ever raising my voice. He showed me practical skills. Fixing wiring and gadgets, reviewing legal documents carefully, and standing firm on my principles without drama. Quiet doesn't mean weak, he'd remind me. It can be your greatest strength. That's probably why I rarely fought back. When Mom brushed off my achievements with a quick nod, or Dad claimed Chloe had the bigger potential, I convinced myself it didn't sting. I told myself I didn't need their praise. Deep down, though, it hurt more than I admitted. There were late nights in my dorm when I'd stare at the dark ceiling, imagining what it might feel like for my parents to be genuinely proud of me. Not for staying out of trouble, but for the person I was growing into. I hoped graduation night would change everything. I pictured Dad giving me a firm handshake, Mom snapping proud photos, Chloe joking around like normal sisters do away from the spotlight. Instead, we gathered around an elegant table bathed in soft lighting, and that old familiar gap widened between us. Their questions about my new job carried hidden barbs, as if they were hoping I'd confess I wasn't worthy. Chloe rambled on about her grand dreams. Fancy art spaces, exotic trips, ventures that mysteriously relied on family funds. I pushed down the growing knot in my gut. It was my big night. I just wanted harmony, a moment that felt like real family warmth. But true colors shine brightest when people assume they control you. And that evening my parents showed theirs completely. The drama didn't erupt suddenly. It built gradually, hidden behind small talk and forced smiles. I sensed it in Dad's restless fidgeting with his watch, Mom's strained grin whenever someone praised me, and Chloe's smug posture, like the night already belonged to her. I stayed engaged, chatting lightly about my software engineering position, sipping water to steady myself. Yet an uneasy vibe hung in the air, like they'd planned this ambush ahead of time. It started when dessert arrived. Dad cleared his throat loudly, drawing all eyes. He pulled a thick envelope from his briefcase and pushed it toward me. "Ava, we need to discuss something serious," he said. Mom crossed her arms tightly. Chloe twirled a strand of hair, smirking as if she knew the punchline to a joke I hadn't heard yet. I peeked inside. Bank records, property deeds, official seals. My heart raced. I knew exactly what this meant. Dad jumped right in, no gentle lead-up. "Your grandfather left you a lot, but you're set with your career now. Chloe's just getting started. Sign over the inheritance so she can use it. That's what families do." Family. Funny how that word only surfaced when they needed a favor. I kept my tone even. "I'm not signing." Silence crashed over the table. Chloe's eyes widened in disbelief that I'd actually refused. Mom's mouth formed a hard line. Dad leaned closer, repeating slowly, "Ava, don't make this hard. It's for everyone's good." "No," I said again. For the first time in 22 years, I stood my ground without a single apology. Dad's expression darkened, confusion turning to anger, then outright menace. "You have no idea what's at stake," he warned. But I understood perfectly, maybe for the first time ever. When Chloe huffed dramatically and muttered, "Seriously, Ava? You barely knew Grandpa. Why would he give you the real stuff?" That's when my last bit of patience vanished. They'd always treated me like a backup plan, someone to lean on quietly while they poured everything into her. I sat straighter. "I'm not signing." That's when Dad rose, yanked my diploma from his bag, and flicked on a lighter. His stare dared me to crumble. "You don't deserve Grandpa's money," he snarled. The flame licked the edge, and the paper blackened and crumbled as gasps filled the room. You'd think the sight would shatter me, just as he intended. Instead, a profound calm washed over me, like a storm finally passing. Guests whispered, utensils clinked nervously. Someone fumbled for a phone. Chloe's confidence wavered. Mom froze, waiting for my meltdown so she could dismiss it as hysteria. But I stayed composed, watching the ashes settle. All those years of being sidelined crystallized into one undeniable fact. There was nothing left here worth saving. Dad looked almost let down that I wasn't in tears. "This is what happens when you forget who raised you," he muttered. I could barely recall any real support from them. Slowly I stood, straightening my outfit. "Are you finished?" I asked calmly. He blinked, thrown off. Chloe reached for me. "Ava, stop being so dramatic." I moved away before contact. Mom finally spoke, icy and low. "If you leave now, you're splitting this family." The irony nearly made me smile. They'd fractured us ages ago. I grabbed my bag, folded my napkin precisely, and looked each of them in the eye. "I'm not splitting anything," I said. "I'm just refusing to fake it anymore." More shocked murmurs followed, but this wasn't for show. I was done shrinking. I walked out, my steps steady on the floor. No one came after me, too stunned, too arrogant, or both. Outside, the cool evening air felt refreshing, carrying hints of coming rain and distant traffic. For the first time that night, I breathed freely. I called a ride, settled into the seat, and gazed at my steady reflection. No tears, no tremors, just someone who'd finally let go of chasing unloving approval. Aunt Megan's place in Maplewood felt cozy and welcoming when I arrived. She'd left the door open, tea ready on the counter. No prying, just quiet support. On her couch that night, I processed it all without rage, only insight. Their harshness wasn't new, it was routine. Yet I'd held strong, smiled, and left. Because I held a secret they couldn't touch. And soon at the attorney's meeting, they'd learn how wrongly they'd underestimated me. The next morning, sunlight streamed softly into Aunt Megan's living room, warming everything like nothing dramatic had happened. I braced for devastation, but woke up remarkably clear-headed and resolute. My phone buzzed endlessly. Chloe's messages arrived first, short, cocky, and titled, "Thanks for freeing up the house, sis. Already planning blush pink walls. You never cared about it anyway. Be supportive for once." I read until focus sharpened, no sadness, just realization. She truly thought it was hers already. Then Dad's lengthy email. Layers of blame, ungrateful, selfish, theatrical. Boiled down to one demand. Relinquish the inheritance. Fix your mistake. Be the daughter we raised. I stopped reading. Mom called next, skipping concern entirely. "Your father lost his temper. You know stress gets to him," she said, voice shaky. "Just sign, Ava. Don't destroy the family over this." But the damage was old. I'd only stopped ignoring it. I ended the call without debate, then turned off my phone. One reply mattered now. I emailed Mr. Harlan. "It's time." His quick response. "Next week, Irvine office. Notifications sent." I closed the laptop and relaxed into the couch, exhaling deeply. Finally, I was in control, not reacting but deciding. The days blurred by calmly, a quiet build-up to the inevitable. At work, I dove into tasks that felt solid and rewarding. Evenings with Aunt Megan brought simple comforts, tea, light chores, classic films. She never forced conversation, just offered steady presence. "Your grandfather knew this day would come," she said one evening. "He chose you wisely." The responsibility weighed on me, but I carried it. When the appointment arrived, I drove to Irvine under a flawless blue sky. I parked, adjusted my professional attire, and entered the firm. The scent of fresh wood and lemon cleaner greeted me. Mr. Harlan nodded seriously. "They're arriving soon." "Ready." "More than ever," I answered. In the conference room, long table, bright windows, formal chairs, sat the key documents, representing a lifetime's legacy. Minutes later they entered. Dad first, tense and defiant. Mom tight-lipped and wary. Chloe casual with phone in hand like this was casual brunch. Chloe spotted me and scoffed. "You're really doing this? It won't change a thing." I stayed silent as they took seats opposite. Us versus them, perfectly symbolic. Mr. Harlan began reading the will straightforwardly. Dates, clauses, verifications. Then the bombshell. The entirety of the estate, properties, investments, company holdings, goes exclusively to granddaughter Ava Thompson. Shock rippled through them. Mom gasped. Chloe's mouth fell open. Dad bolted upright. Impossible. He promised us. Mr. Harlan corrected firmly. No, he did not. Chloe pounded the table. I already paid deposits for my studio. You can't. I met her gaze evenly. It's not yours to claim, she protested. You hate that house. You don't even want the business. She had no idea how deeply I valued it. The quiet summers observing operations falter. The late nights brainstorming with Grandpa on untapped potential. Dad tried his old intimidation. You're too inexperienced, you'll destroy it all. Chloe deserves. I cut in softly but firmly. You made her believe that, and look where it led. Mr. Harlan then played a video. Grandpa appeared on screen, weakened but clear-eyed. If this plays, Ava honored our agreement to wait for the right moment. Mom's hand flew to her lips. Dad went rigid. Chloe whispered denial. Grandpa went on. I saw how you ignored her successes, favored one child over the other. Ava grew resilient in ways you overlooked. That's why everything goes to her. True strength deserves trust, not manipulation. The video faded. Heavy silence lingered. I rose, hands resting lightly on the table. This isn't payback, I said. It's fairness. And now I'm claiming my own path. I nodded at the papers. Dad's defiance cracked into desperation. Mom teared up. Chloe hid her face as her plans crumbled. I collected the files from Mr. Harlan and stepped away. You destroyed my diploma, I told Dad quietly. But my future? Untouchable. No one replied. I left into the bright California sunshine, feeling its warmth fully for the first time. 3 months later, life felt renewed. Peaceful, lighter, truly my own. I settled into a cozy apartment on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon, an easy commute to the Innovation Hub. It was modest, but it was mine, safe and genuine. On my desk, a framed shot of Grandpa and me sharing a private laugh. At the company, I took the reins, restructuring thoughtfully, no favoritism, just merit. The atmosphere lifted. Staff seemed energized, meeting me with real optimism. My family never reached out, not once. And honestly, I didn't miss them. What I gained was profound peace, authentic and hard-won. Evenings on my balcony, watching Portland's lights sparkle, my thoughts stayed calm. No more self-doubt or people-pleasing. I reflect sometimes on that fiery night, my quiet exit, and the strength it revealed. Grandpa was right. Real power isn't noisy. It's claiming your worth even without applause. They lost their hold the instant I stopped seeking their validation. If this tale hits home, drop your experiences in the comments and follow for more real-life family stories. You're never alone.